right, guys, welcome back to another video. Just a couple of news pieces here to end off the week as we start looking forward to whatever is going to be happening as we get closer and closer to the upcoming showcases. We're heading into May and we're getting right around the corner from those big June showcases from Xbox, as well as all the other major publishers out there. So it should be a loaded couple of months of gaming news. But as of right now, we do have this news here when it comes to Kena Bridge of Spirits. As we know, this was previously a PlayStation console exclusive, also released on PC back in 2021, and people were wondering if this game was going to be coming out for the Xbox, and it looks like it is on its way to coming out for Xbox, as it has been rated for the Xbox Series X and S. So it says here that 2.5 years after its original release, an Xbox Series X and S version has been classified by the US Entertainment Software Rating Board. Kena Bridge of Spirits was released in September 2021 as a timed exclusive for the PS5, PS4, and PC via the Epic Game Store. So on PC, that's always something that is pretty controversial for PC games when they're released, is when Epic Game Store does get that exclusivity. You do kind of see the PC gamers out there annoyed at that, and it probably does have a hit on the overall sales of the game. Most people just want to play their games on Steam. They want to have access to their games on Steam, but you have Epic in here really trying to take a chunk of the pie from Steam and really trying to compete more and more with a lot of these exclusives, as well as obviously the overall split they have with the amount of money they take versus the amount of money that the developer gets every time the game does sell. It says here, in an interview published to coincide with the game's release, Ember Lab co-founder and COO Josh Grier said the studio wasn't ruling out bringing the game to other platforms in the future, specifically saying, "We are currently focused on our launches for PlayStation and Epic Game Store, which are timed exclusives. We will look into other platform releases after the launch and a rest." So this is where we are now, where the game being rated by ESRB. And if you haven't played Kena Bridge of Spirits, I haven't played it, but it's always one of those games that I thought looked very cool, at least from the gameplay and the aesthetic and the art style. It is a third-person action game, fast-paced combat, which are types of games that I do really enjoy. So go check out Kena Bridge of Spirits if you've been waiting for this game, if you only have an Xbox and that's where you play all of your titles. It will be coming out here onto Xbox sometime in the future. Maybe this is going to be an announcement at the Xbox Showcase. I think the Xbox Showcase is going to have a lot of content mixed in from their first party stuff, some surprises, some ABK games coming out onto Xbox Game Pass, and tons of other just Game Pass announcements from third parties, as we have seen from previous Xbox showcases. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5, because the next Elder Scrolls game, Fallout 5, they have been all over the news over the last few weeks. A lot of this because of the Fallout TV show's success. And one of the things that a lot of people are discussing here is, did Xbox miss an opportunity to have a new Fallout game release at the same time as the TV show, whether that would have been a Fallout 5 or just another smaller Fallout game spin-off, a single player experience to kind of go on top of all of the hype train that the show has brought. I mean, we've already seen the results of the hype from the TV show, which is the current games that are out getting huge boosts in the player counts. And I think that alone is a great thing. And it really does show the power of taking your IPs and expanding out the universe to reaching a broader range of people via different mediums. We've seen PlayStation really invest a lot into doing this. We've even seen Xbox now invest a lot into doing this. You're seeing Nintendo do it as well with their movies and their theme parks and everything. It really just gets people who aren't mainly video game players to think about the IPs and want to go check out what else is out there in those universes. But there was no new Fallout game, and people are discussing, as I've said, whether this has been a miss or not in terms of just capitalizing on the success of the show. And Todd Howards has talked about this and says he wants to actually avoid putting dates on Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. This was an interview with IGN, and here is what he says. "I'm going to avoid putting dates on anything. I've learned that the hard way." And I mean, obviously, if you remember what happened specifically just recently with Starfield, with them having to delay the game, which I think delays are fine. If the delay makes the game better at launch, I am for delaying the game, even if it's more than one, to make sure that everything is polished when it is released. And that is something that Xbox has had to struggle with their first party releases, is that decision. Do we delay this game and take the backlash for the delay, but make sure that the game comes out better? Or do we just put it out and get people playing it and then update it as we go? even though there will be backlash for how the game released in the current state. I think the backlash from delays are far better than the backlash you will get for something like Redfall when it just released in an absolutely just brutal state. So I always think delays will make the game better. He continues here and says, so obviously our focus as far as new development right now is Elder Scrolls 6, but that doesn't mean that we're not making plans for other things. He says, we're still doing a lot of work obviously on Fallout 76, and we see the community, so many people going into the game and kind of rediscovering it, and just happy that with where the game is at. It really does. And I mean, this has one of the best communities in all of gaming, saying surprisingly, it's very, very, very nice Apocalypse. And we're doing a lot of Starfield work as well. So we have some really good updates that are going to get announced soon for that game. So a lot going on here. And as we talked about in the previous episode, Starfield updates are going to be coming. I think we're going to see that Shattered Space expansion very soon, potentially at the Xbox Showcase, and they'll get more people jumping back into that game. So you're going to have a bunch of Bethesda games with a bunch of communities that are kind of revitalized here with new content and new information coming out about them all. And then obviously from the TV show with the Fallout show, just boosting the player numbers everywhere else. So Fallout 5, Elder Scrolls 6, I don't think we're going to hear very much about these anytime soon. We're not going to get any dates anytime soon. I'd honestly not be surprised if both of these games are released in the next generation of consoles. And I know it's been a long time for both of them, but it just seems that way, that these are still a long, long ways off. Okay, let's jump over here. Let's talk quickly about this, because this is something that we saw open up the other day, and that is the App Store, the iPhone App Store, the iOS App Store, where it's now finally allowing emulators. And you do that comparison between iPhones and iPads and stuff versus Android devices, and Android devices have had emulators forever, which is kind of why I like to use Android, because it's just more open. You choose what you want on your phone, more so than being locked to that closed ecosystem that Apple forces on you. And with the iOS store, they're now allowing emulators, and the Nintendo Game Emulator has topped the iPhone App Store charts, which I feel like Nintendo is going to be looking at this and get very annoyed and try to find a way to circumvent whatever rules that they can circumvent and disrupt these emulators, because that's what Nintendo likes to do. But it says here, an emulator offering access to a plethora of Nintendo games has surged to the top of the iPhone App Store's free download list. The Delta app enables users to relive classics from the NES, SNES, N64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS platforms. This spike in popularity follows Apple's recent policy change permitting video game emulator apps on its storefront, a move influenced by the European pressure for increased openness regarding third-party app stores and emulator use. And you can go here and see, which is kind of hilarious to see just how much people want these types of things, how much they want to go back and play these older games. And I mean, we've already kind of seen this with some recent results where the most played games are 7 years old on average. So people love their retro games. It is a genre, it is a community that isn't going away. I am part of that. I love my retro stuff. I play tons of retro games. I would say overall, I kind of enjoy playing my older games more so than new games, and at least recently, where there's just a lot of stuff with newer games that you don't have in those older games. You get full packages with older games. You get just, I feel like, some more heart in a lot of the stuff that they put out, where it's not just trying to monetize every little thing within those games. And I have my Analog Pocket for my handheld retro stuff, which is phenomenal. It also plays things like the SNES and the NES. So lots of huge numbers here for retro games, something that will never go away. And it's, if you want to go back and just see the origins where some of your favorite franchises have started, I highly recommend trying to find ways to go and play those games, whether that is actually going out and purchasing the physical copies of these games and playing them on the actual hardware itself, where you get the real experience for what it was like back in the day if you've never played those games before. But let's jump over here. Let's talk about Sackboy and Little Big Planet 3. It looks like these servers and online features are no more. And this is, it kind of coincides when we're talking about emulation and retro stuff. why it's so important to have game preservation so that you can always play games, and it's not up to the publisher, it's not up to the developer to choose when you get to stop playing these games that you've spent your money on. But this is an update here for Little Big Planet 3, and saying due to ongoing technical issues which resulted in Little Big Planet 3 servers for PS4 being taken offline temporarily in January 2024, the decision has been made to keep the servers offline indefinitely. All online services, including access to other players' creations for Little Big Planet 3, are no longer available. I mean, that's terrible news. And they're probably, the real reason behind this is they're probably looking at the numbers and they're saying there's not many people playing this game right now. So why invest in keeping these servers online? The ROI is not there. And this here is kind of a major issue here when these servers do go offline, as well as an all digital future for purchasing games. If they decide to just take the games off of the server and you didn't get around to buying it, these games could just disappear into the abyss. It says user generated content stored locally on your PS4 will remain available, and any new user generated content you create can be played on your PS4 but not shared. Offline features such as the campaign will remain playable. Thank you for your support. And you go down here into the comments, and this person says, so instead of fixing them, you just give up. It says, Sony really loves their L's. Thank you for everything, Sackboy. Also, rest in peace. And this person says, wow, I don't even play this game, but I'm furious for all the people who busted their asses making great levels and want to share their work to others, do better video gaming as a whole. So, I mean, the reaction obviously isn't good, but I wonder why they didn't just allow for a certain period of time for people to go in there and be able to download some of these creations, rather than just saying, hey, these issues are too expensive to fix. We're going to take it offline fully, and never give anybody that opportunity who may have thought this opportunity was going to come back when they took the servers temporarily offline back in 2024. Never give them the opportunity again to get back in there and be able to download some user generated content from their favorite creators. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. And we will jump over here. Let's talk about Metaphor ReFantazio. This was a game first shown off at the Xbox Showcase. I thought this was a huge moment for that kind of relationship between Atlus and Sega and Xbox, as there were no real Persona games on Xbox previously to the last year or so. And then Atlus comes out and announces their new IP, which you would have thought would have been shown off at a different showcase, but was shown off at an Xbox showcase, which is Metaphor ReFantazio. So that was a big moment. And now we're going to see more about this game at an Atlus exclusive showcase on April 22nd at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It says Metaphor ReFantazio is getting a brand new showcase next Monday on April 22nd. Atlus will present new gameplay and development updates on their upcoming fantasy RPG coming fall 2024. So keep your eyes open for that. I will definitely be checking it out and see what this game is all about. But I'll end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.